Hey guys, this is Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. Today we're going to take a look at a couple NFL prize picks for this weekend using the NFL cheat sheet. So as always, I'm not going to run through all of them, but I'm going to go through and kind of show you how I use the sheet and a few that I picked up on. So the sheet was a little bit different this week, and I'm going to go ahead and explain it to everybody. I brought in the opponent ranking for that position. So for pass yards, we're going to see the opponent pass defense ranking. And then the per game averages, that's been key for finding a lot of same game parlay props. So I decided to bring it in and put it next to the prize pick line. So the prize pick line is over here, and then we've got the gap between the per game average and the line. So this just kind of helps you, I don't want to say this is a play, but this helps you go look for the play. So instead of looking through every single player trying to figure out, what do I do? Where do I go? Look at these. Find the one that the per game average is way above or way below the current line, and then go look at it. Who are they playing? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take a look at a few. I'm going to keep this video short, sweet, to the point, and kind of show you what we're looking at. Right now, we do pass yards, we do rush yards, and we do receiving yards. So I put this together last night before the game, so you can see a lot of Denver Indy players that are in here. And eventually, we'll have every stat, so I can go in and grab all of them from Prize Picks now. So NBA will be really good this year because last year I manually typed them in, and that was exhausting. This year I can go in and grab them, so it takes me less than 10 seconds, so that will be phenomenal. So as always, have your website up where you can go look at some per game logs and take a look at the players. So I'm using RotoWire just because I'm familiar with it, but you can use any site you want. ESPN, CBS Sportsline, Yahoo, all of these. If you play season long, you can even pull them up in your season long league and look at their game by game stats as well. Typically, if I'm sitting out on the deck drinking coffee, that's what I do, or I'll go to DraftKings and just open up a slate, and then I can click the players and see the per game stats. So there's several different ways you can do this. Look at the per game stats. That's free. You don't have to pay for that. That's not a big deal. So flipping down here through the pass yards, the first column I'm going to look at is this versus average. And so I've got a number set here. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I want to look at these overs and unders. These are the first plays that I look at. So one of the ones that jumps out at me is Bridgewater, 144 yards under. Well, the reason is he only played a partial game, so he didn't get a full game. So his average per game is 96.5 yards. So we can throw that out the window. Just have some common sense to know, hey, he didn't play the whole game. On the other side, Zach Wilson played his first game. And what I like about this is he's going up against Miami, who surprisingly has the 31st pass defense. And he put up 252 yards, so that's his per game average. But remember, it's only one game. Well, his line's only 215.5. So I like that to get over that number because Miami's going to be able to put points on the board, and the Jets are going to have to throw the ball to stay in this. And then if you look at his projection, he's projected at 235 and 232. So he's projected over this on both the sites that we pull, and then his per game, one game average is also over it. So you kind of say that's like a 3-star over. That's one that I would definitely take a look at. And then flipping down here, Hurts, he's in a good spot. The other one that jumped out at me was Justin Herbert. So Cleveland's kind of mediocre pass defense. They rank 18th, but Herbert's averaging 312.5. And what jumps out at me is the Chargers can't run the ball. They've got no rush game. You're hardly ever going to see Eckler with 100 rushing yards in a game. He's more of a receiving guy, and they throw the ball an absolute ton. So he's averaging 312 passing yards a game. His number is 275.5, and he's projected over 1 and under 1. So this is one I would probably want to go look at his per game stats. So he did get hurt in a game, and I believe he came out. Why is that not coming up? Herbert. Oh, I'm on college. Sorry, I just got done doing the college prize props video. Let's see if he comes up under NFL. Justin. Oh, there's some NFL players. Herbert. All right. So I want to go look at his per game averages to see if he's getting over this. So 279, that's an over. 334, that's an over. 297, that's an over. 340, that's an over. So what's his number? 275.5. So he's got a 4-0 over. So he's been over this every single time. Now, week 1, it was close, but that's week 1. We'll give him a break. But 334, 297, 340 in the last 3 weeks, and now going up against Cleveland, who's kind of mediocre. Houston actually ranks better against the QB than Cleveland, so him to go over 275.5 seems good. And something new that we put on the update this late week is this new DVP tab, which is phenomenal. Let me show you this. So you can flip through here. So this has overall fantasy points to each position and the opponent, and then we've got the quarterbacks, we got the running backs, we have the wideouts, we have the tight end. So we're going to go here, we're going to look at quarterbacks for Justin Herbert. So as far as fantasy points per game, we want to get an idea. So these are the teams giving up the most fantasy points per game, and this is the opposing quarterback. So we should be about middle of the road. So here's Herbert right here. So they're kind of middle of the road. They gave up 222 passing yards a game, 1.3 passing touchdowns. So not phenomenal, but again, Justin Herbert can get it done pretty much against anybody, and he's 4-0 on that number. So that's someone that does jump out that we do like. Now, me particularly, I don't do a lot of price picks anymore since I have access to DraftKings. I do a lot of same-game parlays because I could move that line up to, say, 325 and pair it with a couple other things and get plus 500 and make a much smaller bet with a bigger payday versus picking exactly 275.5 and trying to decide to go over or under. Or I could put down more money and drop this down to like 239, 249, somewhere in that range where it's a little bit more of an easier leg to grab. So this is how I use the sheet to kind of dig into some plays and take a look at them. Let's take a look at a few more. You can see over here on the rush yards, not a ton, but we get down here and we start getting some overs and unders. One that jumps out, Saquon Barkley. Now, originally, I was kind of against this number just because his stats are a little skewed because he's had some big games and small games and a big game and a small game. But Green Bay, surprisingly, is the 28th rush defense. They have a good defense, but against the run, they've not been really solid. So he's averaging 115.8 rush yards a game, which is one of the top in the NFL, which is 39.3 yards over his price pick total of 76.5. So you can see he's projected by both sides at 69 and 64 yards, so they're expecting Green Bay to contain him. But on a per-game basis, he's averaging more than that, and they actually rank 28th against the run, so that's one that I would want to go take a look at. So I'm going to come over here to the DVP tab, and let's just look at rush yards a game. Oh, it's already sorted that way. And so we're looking at the rush yards a game allowed to, and we are going to take a look here. So you can see Saquon is going to fall 1, 2, 3, 4, so 5th. So you can see here they're only given 15.8 fantasy points per game, so not a lot of touchdown projection as they only give up a third of a touchdown on the ground, but they're giving up 118.3 rushing yards per game and a surprising 5.2 yards per carry, which is one of the tops. You can see some of these other ones, 3.1, 3.1, 2.9, 3.1. When you get up in this 5 and greater, I'd say 4.8 and greater, then that's one that's going to give up some chunk yards. So not really worried about the touchdown because we're not looking for fantasy point production. We're just looking for yards. And we need 75 yards. We know the Giants are going to give him the ball 20, 25 times. They're giving up 5.2 yards a carry. That seems like an easy over to me. So that's one that I would take a look at. And then flipping down here, Josh Jacobs, but he's going up against Kansas City. He had that big game against Denver, so I kind of threw him out. Hines kind of screwed everybody last week. His rushing yards, everybody was on the over, and then he got one ball, got hit, and left the game. Aaron Jones is kind of interesting. He's averaging 81.8. His line's only 58.5. That might be someone you take a look at. Flipping over here on receiving yards, the top's pretty tight. We've only got 3 people showing an over. And one of the ones that I really like for another play is going to be Tyreke Hill against the New York Jets secondary, which ranks 29th. Now, Tyreek's averaging 119.3 yards per game, but his prop line is only 70.5. One of the things you can almost guarantee is either Hill or Waddle is going to go over their line almost every single week, if not both. You can see both of them are coming up as an overplay. Waddle with the injury last week, he was more of a decoy, so I'm a little more skeptical on him, but I really like Tyreke Hill. He's averaging 48.8 more yards than his prop line, so that's someone that we would definitely want to go take a look at. And then if you come over here, if you read our DFS article, let me pull it up here. So I got CheatSheetPros.com, Week 5 Daily Fantasy Breakdown. So I talk about Tyreke Hill a little bit in here. All right, wide receiver matchup upgrades. Okay, so right here, so Tyreek Hill versus Michael Carter, the second for the Jets. Tyreek Hill moves all over, but he runs 36% of his snaps from the slot position, and Michael Carter covers the slot 94% of the time. So he's projected for 27 snaps against Carter, which is a huge boost for Tyreek Hill. Typically, when I talk about projected snaps, right now receivers move all over the formation, the slot, the left, the right, and it's hard to really line up and say person A is going to cover person B. So now they project how many snaps in coverage against that player. Typically, you'll see anywhere from 10 to 18 snaps on average for a player. So when we get 20, low 20s, mid 20s, upper 20s, that's a lot of snaps. So 27 snaps against Carter, that's a huge boost for Hill. Now, Jalen Waddle will also get some snaps against him, but I think it was more around like 16 to 18 snaps. So Hill was the one that moved up the most for me, so we like him for and over. And even if you're not playing daily fantasy and you're doing props, still go read this article, because you might read something up here and be like, okay, maybe I'm going to go look at a prop on this guy. That makes sense. And basically take little tidbits from everything. Get all the knowledge you can. Use it. Start picking your cards. I do a lot of same game parlays. Those are the most fun for me. But this is kind of how I use the cheat sheet when I'm looking at plays and props. So good luck, guys.